The documents are out there for anybody to see. They just don't want to see them. All right, folks, I've been teasing this all week. It's important, and I'm sorry I haven't been able to get to it, but it's been such a stack-loaded news week. Sometimes things get put on the back burner. But given its importance, I feel the need to put this out there. There was an appearance last week by Rudy Giuliani talking about, again, what the Democrats are really hiding in Ukraine. Remember, as Tucker says often, whatever the Democrats are accusing you of is what they're doing themselves, because they know they're media lunatics. You know, the Habermans and all these other folks in the world will propagate their narratives and not be critical at all and not actually do journalism. They're hiding something, but it's not just their collusion with the Democrats in the election where they were giving the DNC information used to target Trump operatives like Paul Manafort, and where Nellie Orr from Fusion GPS says she was working with a Ukrainian lawmaker. Mm-hmm. It's not even that. That's bad enough. There's other things they're hiding, notably, let's get right to it, a monstrous money laundering scandal. Before I get to that, though, I just want to put this Daily Caller article up, too, to show you how these names in Ukraine just keep creeping up. Remember the name I was talking about the other day? So Alan Dershowitz does an appearance on Breitbart Radio. And during that appearance, he says, hey, listen, people keep talking about people lobbying Trump for prosecutions and investigations and quid pro quos. But Dershowitz claims to have information that actually it was George Soros himself who was lobbying Obama to have people prosecuted, which sounds kind of like a quid pro quo to me. And I suggested to you that that person was likely business rival to Soros, Dmitry Firtash. So look at this Chuck Ross piece. Headline, report, Mueller's pit bull, talking about Andrew Weissman, who was Mueller's chief investigator, offered a Ukrainian oligarch a sweet deal to provide dirt on Trump. Oh, crazy. Who is that oligarch in Ukraine? Dmitry Firtash, George Soros' business rival, who it's alleged by John Solomon's reporting, Soros wanted targeted in Ukraine, and who I believe may be the person Alan Dershowitz was talking about, that Soros was poking around to Obama to get prosecuted. You need to ask yourself the question. This is going to be the focus of my third book. Is our government for sale to the highest bidder or the highest donor? Soros types? Are we for sale? How did Andy Weissman find Dmitry Firtash? Why did he find him so interesting? I told you the same names keep creeping up. And many of them are in Ukraine. Moving on. So, talking about the Ukrainian scandal, how it's not just this information sharing, how they keep going to Ukraine for information on Trump suspiciously. I believe they're hiding a massive money laundering scheme. Follow the money, ladies and gentlemen. Follow the money, always. Let me start out with this article from Forbes to set this up. There's this guy in Forbes, this guy, Kolomiski. If I'm saying his last name right, forgive me. But this guy's interesting. Forbes has this little piece on him. Check this out, who he is. His name is Igor Kolomiski. And he says he founded this bank called Privat Bank in the early 1990s. It grew to be a key bank in Ukraine, handling more than a third of private deposits and serving approximately half the country's population. Sounds like a pretty big bank, folks. In 2016, Ukraine's government nationalized the bank. An investigation suggested large-scale fraud at Privat Bank over a period of 10 years. Privat Bank Kolomiski. Privat Bank Kolomiski. Interesting. Reminds me when Alec Baldwin hosted on the radio that time and screwed it up. Interesting. And he just kept saying interesting because he couldn't think of anything else to say. So we have this guy in Ukraine, Kolomiski, let's make this real simple, who starts this bank, Privat Bank, that was investigated by the Ukrainian government for a massive fraud. Okay, let's go to this Daily Wire piece where Kolomiski and Privat are addressed again. We'll see why the Democrats, again, are panicked about Ukraine. This is part of their impeachment hoax. Daily Wire, report, new evidence shows Hunter Biden Ukraine payments were flagged as suspicious in early 2016. Let's go to the screenshot from that Daily Wire piece. This gets really special, doesn't it? So the Latvian government, their investigators, put out a memo which, quote, identified a series of loan payments totaling about $16.6 million that were routed from companies in Belize and the United Kingdom to Burisma. Oh, Hunter Biden's company. That's really odd. Through what bank? So these payments are routed to Hunter Biden's company, Burisma, through the bank. Oh, Privat Bank? I mean, the one that was under investigation for fraud. How can that be? Between 2012 and 2015. John Solomon writes, quote, the flagged funds routed through Privat were partially transferred to Hunter Biden, a board member at Burisma since May of 2014, and 3 other officials. Oh my gosh, what are the chances of that? So just to be clear, the Latvian government's investigative unit flags suspicious payments routed through multiple countries. Why would you do that? Folks, come on, common sense here, libs. Come on, take the vibranium coating off your skull. Why do you route payments through multiple countries?
Follow.
Thank you, Investigator Joe, wearing his investigator hat. Because when you route it through multiple places and multiple countries and multiple companies, as Joe just accurately stated, it makes those payments hard to follow when they reach the end user, which was, in many of these cases, according to the reporting, Hunter Biden, son of former Vice President Joseph Biden, who, of course, was Obama's point man in Ukraine. It gets better. Folks, Giuliani's all over this. This is why the media is so terrified of Rudy Giuliani. All over this. Giuliani knows all of this. So Giuliani last week was on television, former mayor. And I'm going to play two cuts here. Here's the first cut where he starts talking about, hey, the Latvian government thought this was awfully suspicious. You know, like, why did we ignore this whole thing? Check out cut 1.
I have a document here that's a smoking gun. It comes from Latvia. It describes Hunter Biden's involvement in laundering $14.8 million. It's a government document of Latvia, $14.8 million being laundered through 3 different banks and disguised as loans.
So he has a official government document from It's not an email. It's not some conspiracy theory. It's an official investigative document from the Latvian government about suspicious payments totaling on that document $14 million routed through these specific banks I just referenced. Nobody wants that document, keep in mind. No one in the media this is incredible, Joe. Nobody in the media has thought to ask Giuliani, hey, can we take a look at that? Is that real? Here's cut 2. Here's Giuliani talking about another media myth that, well, okay, maybe there was an investigation. But when Joe Biden demanded the prosecutor in Ukraine looking into all this stuff, the money laundering I just told you about, and Giuliani just stated, so we're clear. The media narrative, which is a myth, which it always is that, well, they had closed all that out when Biden wanted the prosecutor fired. Why are they saying that? It's obvious, folks. Because if Biden, who was on tape saying he wanted the prosecutor in Ukraine looking into this fired, was still looking into it, any sane person's going to be like, well, of course Biden wanted the prosecutor fired because he was looking into these payments to his son. So the media narrative has been, oh no, that investigation was closed down. Ladies and gentlemen, that is categorically 1,000,000% false. The investigation, when Biden demanded the prosecutor looking into this stuff be fired, was not closed down. That is just false. I don't know any other way to tell you. It is false. It is inaccurate. Listen to Rudy Giuliani on that point.
On February 2nd, 2016, the investigator, Shokin, who wasn't investigating, raided the offices of Burisma and put them under arrest. On February 18th, he received a notification from the Latvian government that Hunter Biden was under investigation for substantial money laundering activities. He had issued numerous subpoenas. I have all the records of the prosecutor's office. So the Democrats can lie all they want. It is a matter of record that Biden's son was under investigation.
Okay,
and I'll shock you even more.
What about the UK,
Joe
though?
Biden was under investigation.
Again, folks, don't let the facts get in the way of another stupid media narrative. Oh, that investigation was closed. Biden just wanted him fired because he was corrupt or whatever. It was closed? It was closed. So how come Giuliani has a stack of official government subpoenas from Ukraine? The prosecutors fired in March of 2016, for those liberals who are confused about the timeline. How come Giuliani has a stack of subpoenas and investigative documents and information about a raid that happened in February, a month early? How did that happen if it was closed? I don't understand. If the investigation was closed, how is it that just weeks earlier they're raiding people's homes, investigating this money laundering scheme, which may implicate people in the Biden sphere, and as Giuliani seems to indicate, Biden himself in this investigation? How is it closed if there are raids going on and subpoenas being issued? I'm just asking.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.